Welcome to the Chic Show, where you will find DIYs and home decor on trend, on demand, and on a budget. Today's theme is Hello Harvest and is part of a playlist hosted by Tammy at The Rusted Willow, Ellie at DIY from House to Home, and Sun from Sun's Arts. I will have their channels linked in the description box as well as the playlist. This is a thrift store sweater that I found in the perfect color orange. I'm actually able to get 5 pumpkins and 1 pillow out of this entire sweater. I'm starting by cutting the back section of the sweater off, so you have the 2 front lapels and the sleeves are separate now. This middle section I will actually use in a different DIY for a pillow. With the rest of the sweater, I used the sleeves and the lapel parts just to cut into different sizes to make pumpkins. I used my sewing machine to sew around 2 edges of the sweater, and you could totally use hot glue for this. Now at one end of it, which is going to be the bottom, I'm just taking some yarn and a large needle, and I'm just zigzagging it back through there so that I can cinch it up to make the bottom of the pumpkin. I'm going to do the same for the top once I've stuffed it. Once I've tied it off at the bottom, I'm going to turn it inside out, and now we can stuff it with our pillow fill. Now that it's filled, I'm going to thread that needle again, and I'm going to cinch around the top of it to close it. To get the grooves of the pumpkin, I'm going to be using some fishing line, and I'm going to sew it up through the middle of the pumpkin and then bring it down and just pull it tight so that I can get those grooves into each part of the pumpkin. It's probably easier to watch what I'm doing than it is for me to explain it. Once all my grooves are in place, I'm going to tie it off at the top. To add some interest to this pumpkin, I'm going to be using one of these burlap leaves from Dollar Tree, but I am cutting it down to a more appropriate size. I then cut out a smaller leaf from a book page to glue to the top of the burlap leaf. A champagne cork works for the perfect stem for the pumpkin, and then I add my burlap and book page leaf to it as well. I did the same for the remaining pumpkins, but two of them I did use the sleeves, which is much simpler. You just have to sew the bottom and then cinch up the top, and it makes for the perfect sweater pumpkin. To add some interest to this pumpkin, I used a couple of leaves and a stem from Dollar Tree. And for this one, I added a stem made of rope. And for this one, I used some fall foliage that I had in my floral stash. And here's a look at them all together. It's amazing how many things you can create from one thrift store sweater. Now for this leopard print pumpkin, I'm using some fabric that I had on hand, some polyfill, some feathers, some painted leaves, as well as some twine. For this one, you just need a square of fabric, and you can just gather up the corners, fold in those pieces that are sticking out, and cinch up the top with a rubber band or a piece of twine or even wire. The stem is made from air dry clay, which I made last year and painted gold. I decided to embellish mine with some feathers from a white boa from Dollar Tree. Perfect for those of us who wish to bring a little bit of the wild side to fall. I tried something different with this thrift store sweater. So again, I did use part of the sleeve, but I glued around the edge of one part of it, and then I folded it in the middle like this to glue around the others. This forms actually a much better bottom to the pumpkin. Once that's dry, I flip it inside out, and you can see at the bottom how it sits much more flat. And I'll show you that again in just a minute. So we're going to cinch up the top again. This time I'm using a rubber band. I'm adding another champagne cork for the stem and more feathers for this pumpkin. Here you can see how nice the bottom looks. Now I'm adding some leaves that I took outside and spray painted gold. And here's a look at this sweet sweater pumpkin. Using these faux leather leaves from Dollar Tree, I'm going to be spray painting them in 3 different shades of gold and copper. Actually, I used a copper acrylic paint to paint over a few of the gold leaves. I love adding touches of metallic to every season. I hope that you'll check out the playlist in the description box, as well as Tammy, Ellie, and Sons channels. If you have the time, I hope that you'll give me a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. Thanks for watching. Bye now.